So hi all, welcome to the YouTube channel Mechanical Engineers. So today we are going to start a new series which is Incoterms. So if you are a mechanical engineer, then you should have a fair understanding of what are the Incoterms because you might require to import a certain spares or certain machinery and Incoterms. So these are the topics that we are going to cover. So what are the Incoterms? What are the advantages of using Incoterms? Why not included in Incoterms? I need to be aware of as a buyer. So this basically talks about that as a buyer, what are the things that you should be aware of? Then basic understanding of the Incoterms 2020 rules. Then some PDF Incoterm charts. Then some pre-content. So So basically, what are Incoterms? So Incoterms are the international commercial trade terms. In short, we also call them Incoterms. So these Incoterms are selling terms buyers and seller use so that they can communicate which party is responsible for the task, cost, risk associated with the transferring the goods to the buyer when trading internationally. So if you are trading internationally, then these Incoterms play a very important role. These are also a legally binding agreement published by the ICC, which is the International Chamber of Commerce, and followed virtually by all the countries. So every 20 years, every 10 years, the ICC updates the Incoterms to ensure that they stay consistent with the current process of the international trade. The Incoterms were the last updated in 2020, and we will be covering a 2020 latest Incoterms in our this video. So basically, every Incoterm defines the certain responsibilities and obligations. So first is the point of delivery. This section outlines where the goods will be transferred from the seller to the buyer. Then the responsible party for the transportation cost. So this section defines which party will cover the freight cost, and the competent is often characterized as freight prepaid or the freight collected. And this component is often characterized as freight prepaid or freight collected. Export and in and import requirement. So each term, this section basically talks of whether the seller or the buyer is responsible for covering the cost and facilitating the export or and import of the cargo. Next is the responsible party for the freight insurance. In this Incoterm, the freight insurance is a requirement. Each Incoterm will define who must pay the freight insurance. So basically, this is an overview of an Incoterm. So as you can see, there are F, F component, C component, and the D component. So basically, the F component basically covers the prior to shipment. So if you are going to send any goods or to some international buyer, then until and unless from your location to the ship, the F part will take care of. This C part take care of the during the scope during the course of shipment, while the items are boarded on the ship. Then D part is the delivery part. So we shall be covering each in detail. Work or the X warehouse. In this case, the seller is responsible for the packaging the product and making the goods available. The cargo is transferred to the buyer while the freight is still at the seller side. The buyer is then responsible for exporting, shipping, importing the cargo to their destination. So in this case, the buyer has the complete responsibility. he has to he's responsible for exporting the goods to his exporting, shipping, and importing the cargo. Free carrier, which we also call it FTA. The FTA, here the seller is responsible for the transporting the cargo to the defined location within the seller country, usually a shipping terminal. Once the load is arrived at the destination, the shipment transferred to the buyer, and the buyer then pay the freight charges, fulfill the importing and the delivery process, and depending on the nameplate, the cargo is either exported by the seller or the buyer. Then FAS, the free alongside ship. Then in this case, the seller must manage the full export process of the cargo until the goods are along the side the ship or the other mode of transport. Once alongside the ship, the risk is transferred to the buyer, and then the buyer is responsible for the loading the cargo onto the desired vessels and shipping the goods to the final destination. Then comes the FOB, the free on board. Here, the seller must manage the full export process of the cargo and load the product on the ship. Once the cargo has been safely loaded, the product transferred to the buyer, and the buyer must pay the freight cost that transport the goods to their destination and is responsible for all the import costs. So today we have covered the F part and the X work. Thank you for watching the video. And in our next video, we shall be covering the C part and the D part. Thank you.